Lindsay, welcome back to The Wandering Reader and welcome to another weekly reads video. Over the last couple of weeks I've read a total of 3 books, so let's jump into what I've been reading. The first book that I finished was on my Kindle and it was A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. This is the first book in the Reluctant Royals series. And I talked quite a lot about my thoughts on it last time, and I think only had about 15% to go or something like that, so finish this off quite quickly. This basically tells the story of Naledi, and at the beginning of the book she's been getting emails that she thinks are spam from the sort of like PA of the King of Thiosola, saying that she's supposed to be his bride and could she give them a few more details about her and things like that, and she obviously deletes them because, you know, they're just like those emails that you get where you go, well, I want to give you money and I don't have any way of giving it to you and blah 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 blah. So she thinks that they're a load of rubbish, so she deletes them. She has not had a particularly great life growing up. She was in the foster care system for a while, well, for most of her life actually, after her parents I think died in a car accident. She lives in New York, and she's been putting through herself through college. She has like 3 part-time jobs. She works really hard, and she basically is struggling to get by and make a better life for herself. And then Prince, oh, what's his name? I'll be right back. So it's Prince Thabiso. He comes into New York and he's on kind of other business, and he decides that he's going to track her down, but he doesn't tell her the truth of who he is to begin with. He kind of decides that he wants to get her to know her a little bit better before he kind of spills the beans, as it were. He kind of thinks that she won't believe him or she'll kind of run a mile, whatever, and the story goes from there. I really enjoyed it. It's Alyssa Cole had a really great writing style. It's quite different from a lot of romance novels that I've read, but I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of spicy moments in here, so if you're somebody who doesn't really appreciate that kind of thing, then maybe this wouldn't be the book for you. But I am really interested in picking up other stuff by Alyssa Cole now. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be doing that. And I think I gave this book 4 stars. The second book that I finished was one that I listened to on audio, and it was The Trauma Cleaner, One Woman's Extraordinary Life in Death, Decay and Disaster by Sarah Chronostine. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Chronostine, I think so. And does it say on here who this is narrated by? No, I don't think I can find that. Oh, read by Rachel Tidd. There we go, read by Rachel Tidd. So, to be honest, before I picked this up, I didn't have much of an idea. I only had a kind of vague idea of what I thought it was about, just from looking at the front cover and the title and things like that. I'd never read the blurb of the book. So I kind of figured this was a non-fiction book about a woman who trauma cleans, and it was going to be about lots of different experiences that she'd had in this particular job, delve into people's lives and, you know, different, you know, scenarios that she's come across, and etc etc. And partly it was about that, but I would say only about 20% of the book is focused around that. The other 80% of the book is actually focused around her life and the different things that she'd been through as a person, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, but I wasn't disappointed in that kind of sense. I still thought it was a really interesting and engaging book. I really liked the bits where she was talking about jobs that she'd been on and things like that. I perhaps would have liked a little bit more of that, just because it's a bit like a car crash scenario, isn't it? You can't help but look into and be fascinated by these people's lives. But I still really appreciated the fact that it was so much to do with her life as well, and she'd been through so much, and it talked about being gay in the 1970s and 1980s in Australia, which I'd imagine would be quite similar to over here in the UK. She talked about being transgender, she talked about her horrific upbringing, yeah, lots and lots of different things. And yeah, so it's so much more about her life than anything else, but it was really it gave a really good insight into that particular period of history, and you know, the LGBTQ community and kind of what was going on and how they were treated and things like that, and I found it really, really engaging. The narration was good on it. I would definitely recommend it on audiobook. It went by really quickly. I think I listened to it in under a week, so that was sort of my normal commute to work plus a few other hours of it at the weekend. I think it was about 8 or 9 hours on audio, something like that. So I would really, really recommend it still, and I gave that one 4.5 stars. And the last book that I've got to talk to you about today was the first book that I have read for middle grade March, and it is Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison. And this is basically a book where you have lots of different little stories about black women throughout history. So for example, this is Octavia E. Butler. So you get a little story and you get an illustration. We've got Nina Simone. We've got Josephine Baker, and there were lots of women in here that I knew of, and then lots of women that I didn't know anything about at all, and it was so charming, so wonderful to read. It's definitely something that I want to pick up my own copy of, but also I want to encourage the kids to read at school, so definitely want to get a copy of this in our school library. What's lovely about this as well is that it's illustrated by the author, and the illustrations are just so charming. So if I show you one that I particularly liked, where's the one of the ballerina? Just flick through. Oh god, oh here we go. I mean, look at this. How amazing is that? And they are all just in that really sweet, very beautiful sort of vein. So this is Shirley Chisholm. I mean, just so lovely. Yeah, and then in the back they had a few extra women of, you know, she'd love to have put loads more in there, but obviously she was limited. Yeah, and I just think this is a book that everybody should read, and it's definitely sparked my interest in learning some more about these women's lives, and I've kind of noted down a few of their names to go and do some more Google searches on them and things like that. So yeah, would really, really recommend that, and I gave it 5 stars. On to what I am currently reading. So I have started listening to the audiobook for Becoming by Michelle Obama. I've listened to the first about an hour and a half of that so far. It's quite a long audiobook, it's just over 19 hours, so that's going to take me at least a couple of weeks to get through that. I do have a physical copy of it. For those of you that have been watching my channel lately, you know that I hauled one a while ago. I pre-ordered the book and I just haven't got around to picking it up. But I'd heard that the audiobook was narrated by Michelle Obama herself, and that it was very, very good. So I decided to use one of my Audible credits to pick that up. And I'd been waiting kind of an opportunity after my library books had kind of been finished off, as it were, on audio. So yeah, I started listening to that this morning. I went to the hairdressers, so I spent a bit of time in the car today, and I'm really enjoying it. I've read the first couple of chapters of it so far. She's talking about her childhood and where she grew up and things like that, and it's really, really fascinating. So yeah, looking forward to reading a bit more of that. On my Kindle, I'm reading Christie's Great Idea. Is that what it's called? Let me just grab my Kindle. It's the first book in the Babysitters Club series by Anne M. Martin. Yeah, Christie's Great Idea. I've been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I've had the motivation to pick these up again because both Karen from Rather Be Reading and Sarah from Steeped in Books have been rereading this series, and this is a series that I read as a child and absolutely loved them. I do have the first book in physical format up there, but I noticed that you could get them on Kindle, and I think Karen and Sarah have been getting them out from their library, but my library doesn't have any of them, presumably because they're a series that are a little bit dated now and not many people are sort of getting them out and things like that, so they've gotten rid of them, which is a real shame. So I had a little look at how much they were on Kindle, and they're about £2 a book on Kindle. So they're not going to be something that I buy every single month or something like that, or like really regularly. I might read one and then a couple of months later read another one or something like that. But yeah, I've started reading that. I'm about 50% of the way through. It's really easy reading, and this first book is just about them starting off the club. Yeah, so it's all about how these 4 girls start off the club, and this one is told from the point of view of Christy, who becomes the president of the club, and then you've got Claudia, who's vice president, and then you've got Stacey and Mary. I can't remember who's treasurer and who's secretary. So yeah, so they're the 4 girls that start off the club, and they're just starting to get new clients at this particular point, and it's bringing back a lot of good memories. They're not particularly well written or anything like that, but they're children's stories, so they're not, I suppose they're not particularly going to be, and they were written I think in the 1990s, so you've got a little bit of dating there now, but I am really enjoying the nostalgia factor of them. So yeah, I'm about 50% of the way through that, so I'm hoping to finish that off this week. And then lastly, the physical book that I'm reading at the moment, I've just started this morning as well, is Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a book that I've had on my shelves for a while, and I was sort of looking at all of the hardcovers that I've bought over the last few months and just thinking, if I've bought it in hardcover, it means that I'm really excited about it, so why haven't I read it yet, basically? So this is basically the story of a girl called Mary, and she is in what she calls baby jail for allegedly killing a baby that her and her mother were babysitting. So at the moment I've just read the first 15 pages, so I'm not particularly far into it, and it's talking about what it's like in this home that she's in. It's sort of like a GV centre, but not. There are only 5 girls there, I think, or something like that, and kind of, but it's also interspersed with things like articles of things that happen at the time. So for example, the page that I'm on at the moment is an excerpt from The Devil Inside, the Mary B. Addison story by Jude Mitchell. So it's like a newspaper or a magazine article, and then you've got excerpts from police conversations, so it's transcript from the December 12th interview with Mary B. Addison, age 9, and you've got different things like that. So they're almost like flashbacks of what happened when she was 9 and she allegedly killed this baby. So you're kind of learning about the case through these little snippets, and I think that's really clever. So yeah, hoping to get a bit more of that read this week, and hopefully I really enjoy it. So there we go, guys, that is all of the stuff that I have been reading. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. Have you read any of these books? What did you think of them, and what are you reading at the moment? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.